A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to Global Today's News Express live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Judith Peters. Now on the news, Minister designate begin documentation ahead of Monday swearing in ceremony of members of the Federal Executive Council, FEC. 45 ministers designate have begun their documentation at the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, OSGF, in Abuja. The exercise, which was ongoing Saturday afternoon, followed the assignment of the portfolios to the ministerial appointees by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Wednesday. The Senate had penultimate Monday confirmed the appointment of 45 ministerial nominees out of a list of 48 names forwarded to its for confirmation by President Tinubu. The Senate withheld confirmation of the appointment of 3 nominees, namely Nasiru El-Rufai from Kaduna State, Stella Okotete from Delta State, and Abubakar Sani Danladi from Taraba State, over security concerns. Also, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has pledged his administration unallowed commitments to leveraging on the domestic utilization processing and international export of Nigeria's massive gas resources as a transition to catalyze the fundamental restructuring of the nation's economy for expensive growth during its tenure. In a meeting with the board and management of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG) Limited at the State House, President Tinubu affirmed all encumbrances to the entrepreneurial programs and development of Nigeria's industrial citizen, as well as any further impediments to business practice in the oil and gas sector specifically, will be swiftly removed to create more appointments for Nigeria companies and international partners to thrive on the natural gas and human resource wealth which God had bestowed upon the nation. Our correspondent has more details. President Tinubu affirmed the position of natural gas as Nigeria's gateway to sustainable development and prosperity, pledging to build a partnership with investors that will guarantee job opportunities and skill development for Nigerian youth in the overriding best interest of the oil and gas producing environment. In his remarks, the chairman of the board told the president that the infrastructures faced by non-government stakeholders in operations were being collectively shared with the government and that the communities should play a greater role in ameliorating the situation, noting that issues of trust between investors and host communities must be properly handled with an emphasis on end-to-end process inclusivity.
For us, just 2 words will describe it: security and gas supply. They go together. That will unlock more gas to plants. We can produce at a higher capacity and we make more revenue. We pay our taxes, huge amounts of taxes and dividend declarations. All that will have an upshot if we can tackle those 2 major problems.
The delegation congratulated the president for winning the 2023 presidential elections and setting the tone early and aggressively with bold and correct long-term reforms which will transform the Nigerian economy within a short period of time. It's still the News Express on Global Television. And now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has met with the governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, at the presidential villa, Abuja. Although the meeting was behind closed doors, it was gathered that they discussed the development and security in Enugu State. Recall that Governor Mba recently expressed the eagerness of his administration and collaborate and partner with the federal government and international agencies. He equally expressed the vision to transform Enugu from a public sector to a private sector-driven economy and also raise the state's GDP from the present $4.4 to $30 billion through private sector investment. Mba had met with the World Bank Country Director of Nigeria, Shubham Chaudhuri, on Wednesday at the bank's country office in Abuja and equally participated in the National Economic Council NEC meeting presided over by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, on Thursday. The last time the Enugu State Governor visited the president, it discussed the issue of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, and requested for his release from detention. Also, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said there are no instant solution to the country's raging problem, while reiterating his appeal to them to bear with the country in view of the pains occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy, giving assurances that the country would eventually surmount its current challenges. The president spoke in Abuja at the unveiling of Brutally Frank, a 688-page autographic of former Federal Commissioner for Information and South-South leader, Chief Edwin Clark. President Tinubu said the solution to Nigerians' problem cannot be like instant, noting that what the country was going through is akin to the pain of childbirth, which ultimately becomes merriment. He expressed optimism and the palliatives being rolled out by the federal government would help in softening the hardship and trauma. Also, the former Nigeria president, Goodluck Jonathan, is to lead a joint observer mission of the African Union, AU, and Common Market for East and Southern African COMESA for Zimbabwe's general election scheduled for August 23rd. A statement by AU Commission Chairperson Musa Mahamat said Jonathan will leave Abuja on Saturday along with a team comprising of 73 short-term observers and 3 core teams of electoral experts who would be involved in the election observation activities from August 16 to 29 in the Eastern African country. The duties of the mission include observing the degree to which the conduct of the election meets regional, continental and international standards for democratic elections. Mahamat said the observer team is expected to offer recommendations for improvement of future elections based on the findings, demonstrate AU's solidarity and support towards Zimbabwe's election and democratization process to ensure that the conduct of democratic, credible and peaceful election contributes to the consolidation of democratic governance, peace and stability in the country. It said the mission will be guided by AU and COMESA statutes governing the holding of elections, whose aim is to promote good governance among other demonstrative tenets. The team would engage with several stakeholders and observe the final preparation and polling process and issue a preliminary statement after the election date. He added that with the new assignments, the former Nigeria leader is leading a 4th AU election observation mission, having led electoral observatory duties in Tanzania, Mozambique, and Zambia. In a bid to create a forum for dialogue towards resolving issues surrounding the petrol subsidy removal across the state, the National Economic Council, NEC, has constituted an ADHOC committee to engage with the leadership of labor unions. The decision was reached at the 135th meeting of NEC, chaired by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, in Abuja. Our correspondent completes the report. The committee comprises the Nigeria Governors Forum Chairman Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, Governor of Anambra State Chukwuma Soludo, Chairman of Progressive Governors Forum Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, PDP Governors Forum Chairman Bala Muhammad of Bauchi State, and Abia State Governor Alex Oti. According to Governor Zulum of Borno State, the Vice President charged the committee to liaise with the leadership of labor unions in the country to find a way forward on the emerging issues in the interests of the nation.
The Council has also tasked the state to dialogue with the labor unions leadership. A committee made up of Anambra State Governor, NGF Chairman, and others have been nominated to interface with labor. The most important thing that the Council has taken note is that all these palliatives that are being mentioned now are temporary solutions. Council has decided to invest on medium and longer term sustainable solutions that will ensure availability of food and non-food items in Nigeria, especially investing in commercial agriculture and also investing in irrigated agriculture. NEC is calling on Nigerians and indeed labor to become law-abiding, as the President is determined to address the issues at hand.
While noting various interventions of the federal government across the country, the council urged states to upscale the distribution of palliatives towards alleviating the suffering of citizens, especially vulnerable groups. Thank you very much. It's still the news. The President's Chairman of Council of CIBN, Ken Okpara, stated at the 2023 Lagos Bankers Night with the team Exchange Rate Unification, Global Implication Organization and the country on Friday night in Lagos said that the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, has commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for unifying the Naira exchange rate to save the country from financial crisis. According to him, the institute has always advocated transparency and a free market that would allow the interplay of supply and demand. He said the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria totally supports the Central Bank of Nigeria's reform as it relates to the unification of the exchange rate and other measures basically taken to ensure the true value of the Naira. As a matter of fact, in court, we have been advocating for this, and we have seen that the effort the Central Bank of Nigeria has initiated is already yielding dividend. The Lagos State government has declared Monday, August 21st, as work-free day for all public servants in the state to commemorate this year's Isese Day. The Isese Day had been set aside in Lagos to celebrate the indigenous Yoruba culture and traditions, as well as preservation of the Yoruba heritage. This disclosure is contained in a circular issued by the Lagos State Head of Service, Hakeem Muri Okunola, where he noted that this year's Isese Day celebration will hold on Sunday, August 20th, 2023. Muri Okunola in the circular further stated that the declaration of work-free day by Governor Sanwo-Olu is a emphasis of his commitment to continue to provide necessary support to traditional institutions in the state with a view to promoting their indigenous culture and traditional while preserving their heritage. The circular announced that all state workers are expected to resume work at 8 a.m. prompt on Tuesday, August 22. Also, the force commander of MNJTF, Major General Ibrahim Salihu Ali, said that the support to continue global commitment towards countering insurgency and fostering sustainability peace across the region is a significant boost to regional security. The Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF, has received support from the European Union of 20 neutral platforms via Cogiton, a peace and security non-governmental organization. The support for the neutral platforms was presented on 18th August 2023 during a ceremony held in N'Djamena, Chad, while receiving the platforms. General Ali described the support as a collective desire for peace, stability, and prosperity in the Lake Chad Basin region. He acknowledged further assistance from Cogiton and the EU in building the capacity of potential operators for the platform, enhancing navigation skills and maintenance. In his remark, the representative of the EU ambassador to Chad, Thierry Marotte, stated that the importance the EU places on peace, security, and development necessitates its support for MNJTF. He added that the EU had been providing various support to the mission to ensure a peaceful and prosperous Lake Chad Basin region. The Acting Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service has called for sustained synergy among security agencies in dual areas of both border security and migration management to safeguard Nigeria's territorial integrity. She equally said a management training of security agencies at top level cannot be downplayed, especially now with challenges ranging from weapon smuggling, banditry, and other vices that may undermine the nation's security rearing their ugly heads. Adepoju made this known when participants of the Advanced Security Management Course 3 of the National Institute of Security Studies paid a courtesy visit to the NIS headquarters. Still, the Acting Controller General of Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, has expressed readiness to improve trade activities in the eastern part of Nigeria. The AGCGC made this known while receiving the governor of Borno State, Professor Babangana Umaru Zulum, on a courtesy in his office in Abuja. According to custom boss, the measure will boost the region's economy and provide jobs for the people in the state. The CGC, who appreciated the long-term relationship between the service and Borno State government in border security and humanitarian services, also affirmed its readiness to support victims of terrorism in the state. The acting Controller General assured Governor Zulum of his administration commitment to engage the military to develop new measures to assistance in re-establishing the full structure of cross-border trade in the area. The president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, has noted that the 5 billion naira palliative package per state as announced by the federal government would amount to 1,500 naira per person when shared among over 133 million Nigerians who are multidimensionally poor. Ajaero, who made this known on Friday in an interview on the Politics Today show on China's television, argued that there was no way 185 billion naira would amount to something impactful when shared among 133 million Nigerians who are multidimensionally poor. According to statistics he got from the National Bureau of Statistics, the Labour Union on the leader maintained that even if the fund were converted to the value of 6 trillion of rice, it wouldn't amount to a cup of rice per individual when shared. He added that from the time of the first criminal of pump price of petroleum, the last one, more Nigerians had gone beyond the borderline and had slid into a very high level of poverty. You're watching the News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform at Global TV NG. When the News Prime returns, we'll give you more details. You stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back. It's to the news on Global Television. And now on business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has unveiled a series of fresh operational guidelines for forex sales by Bureau de Change, BDC operators in the country. This is coming more than 2 years after the suspended CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele announced the suspension of foreign exchange sales to BDC operators in that segment of the forex market. Under the new framework, the spread on buying and selling by BDC operators is set to fall within a permissible range of -2.5% to +2.5% of the Nigeria foreign exchange market window's weighted average rate from the previous day. Also, West African military chiefs are meeting in Ghana to discuss a possible armed intervention to resolve a coup in Niger, as Germany called for EU sanctions against the rebel leaders, alarmed by a series of military takeovers in the region. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has agreed to activate a standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger. Sandra Akpa gives us more.
ECOWAS is demanding Niger coup leaders to release President Mohamed Bazoum after his July 26 ouster, warning that the bloc could send in troops if negotiations fail. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, makes clear the motive and objectives of the sub-region security chiefs.
I would like to remind us all that the purpose of our gathering is not simply to react to events, but to proactively chart a course that preserves peace, promotes stability, and upholds democratic principles across our region. We must remember that our collective actions today will shape the legacy we leave for future generations.
However, ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security Abdel Fattah Musa makes clear that while the West African body continues to pursue peace, there is one more option that is on the table.
The determination that I want to put across here as we meet today to fine-tune and then also to plan about the timing, about order. Meanwhile, we are still giving diplomacy a chance. The ball is in the court of the junta, the CNSP, in Niger. If they pull back from the brink, the military option will not be necessary. But we want to warn them that all options are on the table, and no option is off the table.
The generals who have detained Bazoum blamed deteriorating security in the country for the coup. They have threatened to charge him with treason, but also say they are open to negotiations. Sandra Akpa for Global TV News.
Thank you very much, Sandra Akpa. And now the Central Bank of Nigeria has introduced a foreign exchange price verification system designed for importers to have access to forex. The Apex Bank, in a statement from its Trade and Exchange Department on Thursday night, said a price verification report from the portal is now mandatory for all forms of requests, while it takes effect from August 31st, 2023. The statement read, following the successful conduct of the pilot run and various trainings held with the banks, the Central Bank of Nigeria hereby announces the go-live of the price verification system, PVS, while urging all authorities dealers to inform their customers of the development. The CBN also said any case of infraction would be appropriately sanctioned. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation has disclosed plans to probe directors of some failed banks in the country. The Managing Director, NDIC, Mr. Bello Hassan, said this during a capacity building workshop for law enforcement agencies with a team effective collaboration in the fight against fraud and financial malpractices in banks and other financial institutions in Nigeria. In Lagos on Thursday, the Managing Director, who was represented by the Heard Legal Department, NDIC, Mr. Henry Former, said through collaborative efforts, 12 prosecutions cases are ongoing at various courts, 25 ongoing investigations with FMIU, 11 with EFCC, and 5 concluded investigations with Federal Ministry of Justice for advice and prosecution. While noting that banks were becoming more vulnerable to fraudsters, he said the situation increased the burden on regulators and supervisors to enhance their operational capacity. And now on foreign scene, Russia attempted another overnight assault using Iran's Shahed drones. Ukrainian defenses shot down 15 Russian drones during an overnight attack. Kyiv Air Force said Saturday it states 17 Iranian-made Shahed drones were used in the aerial assault and did not specify what happened to the other 2. Russian forces attacked from the north with Shahed 136/131 attack UAVs. A total of 70 attacks drones were launched from the Kursk region. The Ukrainian force said on Telegram it added that air defenses were activated in northern and central as well as in the western region. 15 enemy drones were destroyed by the forces and means of the Air Force in cooperation with the air defense system of other components of the defense forces of Ukraine. Still on the foreign scene, the U.S. has approved delivery of F-16 warplanes from the Netherlands and Denmark to Ukraine. Officials in Washington and Europe said, although the aircraft are unlikely to go into operations anytime soon. However, it was not clear when the first F-16s might enter the conflict, as Ukrainian pilots will will require at least 6 months of training on the aircraft. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Secretary of State Antony Blinken sent a letter to his George and Danish counterparts this week, offering formal assurance that the U.S. would fast-track approval of all requests from third parties to transfer F-16s to Ukraine, F-16 jets to prevent Russia dominating skies over Ukraine. Ukraine has asked for a fighter that might give it a combat edge. Last month, it began a long-anticipated counter-offensive against the Kremlin's forces without air cover, placing its troops at the mercy of Russian air attack and artillery. U.S. Force General James Hacker, commander of U.S. forces in Europe and Africa, told reporters in Washington on Friday that he did not expect the F-16s to be a game changer for Ukraine. Preparing squadrons for battle could take 4 or 5 years, he said. In eastern Ukraine, attack helicopters pilot told Associated Press that they welcomed the news. They said Russians had a superiority, but the introduction of U.S. jets could shift the balance of power. The International Chess Federation, FIDE, has banned transgender women from competing in its women's event, saying the individual cases would require what it calls further analysis, adding that a decision could take up 2 years, while the move be criticized by some players and enthusiasts. The federation said the imposition of the ban is temporary. Many sports governing bodies have been working in policies toward transgender athletes, but choice does not involve comparable levels of physical activities. However, the FIDE says it wanted to analyze the impact of these policies and did not want to rush this process. It added that transgender players could still compete in the open section of its tournament. And that's it on Global TV's News Express. Do not forget we're on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform at Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your TV screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Judith Peters. Thank you so very much for watching. Have a good evening.